First of all, a very big thank you to each and every one of you for taking out time on your busy Fridays or Saturdays based on where you are and coming in to listen to this webinar. I am Sonakshi Pandey, and I have been in the tech industry for the past 5 years. And in these 5 years, I've changed my role 2 times. I started off as a software engineer and I transitioned into a solutions architect role. This decision has certainly not been an easy one, and I put in a lot of thought into it. And I've learned a lot of lessons on the way as well. And this decision was certainly life-changing. That is why today I'm going to share with you my journey from being a software engineer to being a solution architect. And I'm hoping to inspire you to take up the solution architect role. And if not solution architect, maybe take up, a job in cloud computing. So let's get started. So today we have a jam-packed agenda. I'll start off by telling you more about myself, more about my journey, my professional journey specifically, and then I will talk about my motivation for transitioning from a software engineer to a solutions architect role. I'll share on how I prepared for the interviews. I'll share some tips for people who want to break into cloud, and I will also tell you about different roles in cloud computing. So let me start by telling you about myself. What I'm going to do is I'm going to associate a fun fact with every image that you're seeing on the slide, and hopefully, tell you my story in the process as well. So I am currently based in Seattle, Washington, and I have been in Seattle for the past 5 years. For those of you who heard about Seattle for the first time, it is really infamous for its rainy and gloomy weather. But I've been here long enough, and I think I really like it here, and I'm used to the rainy weather that Seattle gives us. This very first picture is from Pike Place Market. This is my favorite spot in Seattle, and I highly recommend you to visit this spot if you ever visit Seattle. But let me tell you where I was before this. So before this, I'm originally from India. And from Mumbai. That is where I was born and I was brought up. That's where I went to school, to college. That's where I did my bachelor's in computer engineering. My family is based in Mumbai, and it is this one place super close to my heart. I try to visit Mumbai once a year at least to see my family and my friends. Now, let me tell you, a fun fact about this picture. So in 2014, that was when I took the first flight of my life. And this is a picture from this first flight that I sat in. And it was not a domestic flight. It was an international flight, which was 25 hours long. And I flew directly from Mumbai to Texas to pursue my master's in University of Texas at Dallas. So I came to the United States in 2014. And I started pursuing my master's. This is photo of one very beautiful fountain which is located in the center of University of Texas at Dallas, my university. And this fountain is surrounded by beautiful magnolia trees, and it has these limestone benches. And this was one place where I went to just calm my mind and to just chill off and relax. So yeah, this was my favorite place in university. And so I graduated from University of Texas at Dallas in 2016. So that is a picture from my graduation ceremony. And right after I graduated, I started working in Amazon as a software engineer. So I have been in Amazon for 5 years. And this is a picture that was taken at the reInvent conference, which is a famous cloud computing conference that is hosted by AWS. This was a picture taken there. And yes, I was in Amazon for 5 years, and I recently moved to Google. Now I am a customer engineer for Google Cloud Platform. And that last picture is a picture of myself wearing the cool Google hat. So yeah, these are few fun facts about me. Hopefully this gives you a better understanding of who I am, where I come from. And with that, now let me talk to you about my professional journey. So this is what my professional journey has been so far. I started off as a software engineer for the forecasting platform team inside Amazon. So my team owned the platform that was used by machine learning scientists to run their machine learning models. And basically, this was the team that was responsible for generating forecasts for all the products that you see on the Amazon website. So worldwide, whoever uses Amazon.com, whoever orders a single product, I was in the team that was responsible to ensure that, the product was well stocked in the warehouse. And as a software engineer, I was a software engineer for 3 years, and I got a chance to work with AWS Cloud, work with big data. I got a chance to develop web services in Java, and I also wrote Scala big data applications. So after 3 years of being a software engineer, I realized that I wanted to try out something new, and I transitioned my role into a solutions architect role. So I was really lucky when I made this transition, because I moved from Amazon's retail world, Amazon.com, to Amazon's cloud world, which is AWS, Amazon Web Services. And as a solution architect, I of course got to work on Amazon Cloud. I got a chance to talk to a lot of customers. I got to work on my business acumen, as well as I got a chance to develop my communication skills. I've also published 5 blogs in the past 2 years based on things that I've learned and problems that I've seen customers solve. And after 5 years of being in Amazon as a software engineer and as a solution architect, I realized that in order to build my portfolio, I need more experience, more exposure outside Amazon. But at the same time, I realized that I had worked in the cloud domain for the past 5 years, and I was super passionate about cloud. So that is why, I decided to go ahead and switch my career and move to Google Cloud. And currently, I'm a customer engineer at Google Cloud Platform. A customer engineer is exactly the work of a customer engineer is exactly similar to what a solution architect does. It's basically just a different name in Google. Google calls solution architects as customer engineers. So currently, I get a chance to work with Google Cloud. I'm also a woman in STEM advocate. And apart from that, in my free time, I'm an influencer. You can follow me on Instagram. I'll share the link with you, towards the end of the presentation. So yeah, this is what my professional journey looks like. So now let me talk to you about my motivation for transitioning from a software engineer to a solutions architect role. But before I do that, I think it is important for you to understand what my day-to-day was like as a software engineer, how I came across the solution architect role. There's a fun story there, and why I decided to become a solution architect. So as a day-to-day, this is what my day looked like. My day began with Scrum meetings, which was, meetings like daily stand-up, wherein I got a chance to share my plans with my team, right? My plan for the day. After that, since I was working in the forecasting team, my customers were machine learning scientists. So whenever I was working on any project, I had to go and talk to those machine learning scientists to gather requirements and understand their pain points. Once the requirements were gathered, after that the fun part began, where I got a chance to create a design document that consisted of the architecture that we are planning to design and build in order to solve customers' problems. So then once the design document was prepared, there was a review meeting, and once the design review was, once I got a sign off from all the stakeholders, then I actually started writing code. And the process of writing code was very simple. I put on my headphones and I used to code 8 hours straight, and I used to get things done. Writing code also involved writing unit tests and integration tests surrounding the code. And once the code was written, once it was ready, then we sent it for review. I had to send it for review. And I believe that, code review was one of the most important, most important piece in the software development process. And because code review is the actual thing that allows others to find out bugs or mistakes in your code that you might have missed. So the code used to get reviewed. And once, I got a thumbs up for my code, that's when I used to plan to deploy it to production. So we had this huge change management process where we had to write a long change management document, which had steps to highlight, how will I roll back if something goes wrong with my code deployment. So I had to write like long change management documents, get approvals. And once that was approved, finally, I was able to deploy my code to production. And as a software engineer, you're not only responsible for writing code and developing products, but you're also, responsible for ensuring that you provide relevant documentation that allows your customers to, adopt the products that you've built. So I did spend time writing documents as well. And there was also one more fun part of being a software engineer, that was going on call. So I was on call once, on an average once a week per month. And when I say on call, what I mean is I actually had a pager. So I had a physical pager. And after that, we got rid of the pager and I had a pager app in my phone. And what happened is, if anything, went wrong with any of the products that my team owned, I used to get caged anytime between the 24 hours. And as soon as I got paged, I had to go in and look at the production issue that our customers were facing, and I had to work on it till it gets resolved. So I had a few very busy weekdays and weekends, but this is what my life was as a software engineer. So now let me tell you how I actually came across the solution architect role. But before I actually do that, I want all of you to take a guess and let me know in the comment section on what do you think, how I discovered the role. Like, what do you think? How must I have discovered the role? Do you think I discovered it through LinkedIn or through some other form? Let me know in the comments. Let me quickly take a look at the comments as well. Any guesses? Do you think I found it through LinkedIn? Or did I find it through networking? Any guesses? Networking, okay. Were you approached directly by a colleague? No, I wasn't. Yeah, and Sunita, it wasn't through networking, actually. It is a little bit of a funny story, but it's not really funny, but I discovered it by a unique way. So let me tell you how I actually discovered it. It was not networking. No one approached me. I have actually ended up approaching people. I discovered this role through YouTube. So actually what happened is I was researching online and I came across a YouTube video which was delivered by one of the AWS solution architects. And what happened is I started that video, I started looking at it, and I fell in love with their method of delivery. So they started the video from a very basic 100 level explanation about DynamoDB. They started explaining about that product. And then they slowly started building the technical context and they went to level 400. So that person took the technical level right from very basic to level 400. And generally, when I'm looking at these technical videos on YouTube, my attention span is just 20 minutes. And after 20 minutes, I'm either lost or I'm not looking at that video anymore. But I was surprised because I sat through the entire video. And when the video ended, I told myself, wow, what a presentation. I want to do what this person just did. Like, I want to be able to present like that. And so that's how I got this fire of fire of inquiring more about who that person is and how did they get there. So after I started networking internally, I found out that there is a position called solutions architect, and that is how I first heard about this role. So what I did after that is I started finding people who made a similar switch like myself from a SDE to a solution architect role. And let me tell you, it was super duper difficult to find people who've made such a transition, because there are very less people who actually made a switch going from a fully technical SDE world to kind of partially technical solution architect world. But yeah, and that is why I'm here sharing my journey with you, so that it helps you, you get a better understanding of this role. So yeah, that's how I discovered this role. Now let me tell you the 5 key reasons why I decided to become a solutions architect. The first one is, as a solution architect, the focus is on tech breadth. So let me tell you more about this. As a software engineer, I got a chance to get in depth into a particular technology, solution, or a platform. And the solution architect role requires you to be more focused on the breadth of the solutions out there rather than the depth. So for example, as a software engineer, while working on a project, I got to get my hands dirty with each and every API of the AWS DynamoDB service. So basically there's a database service, and I understood how that database service worked. I understood each and every API about it, and I just understood how to do optimizations on it as a software engineer. But when I was talking to people, I realized that being a solution architect is not only understanding what that database does, but it is also understanding how is it different from other offerings in the market. What other database offerings are there, and when would you choose a NoSQL database over a SQL database, right? So this is one example where, being a solution architect is being focused on the breadth and not on depth. As a solution architect, you don't need to understand every API of DynamoDB. You need to understand how is it different and when should you recommend your customers to use DynamoDB. I hope this makes sense. Other than that, another reason is I was not enjoying all aspects of being a software engineer. So for example, I enjoyed coding and I still do. I still love coding. But at the same time, I did not enjoy the process that was surrounded towards getting the code deployed to production. So for example, I did not enjoy code reviews. I did not enjoy writing unit tests. I did not enjoy the change management process. So yeah, that was about it. I love to write code, but I was not having fun being a software engineer. Other than that, I wanted a chance to develop my communication skills. I wanted to be in a customer facing role where I got to talk to different kinds of customers on a day-to-day basis. I wanted a role where I directly see the impact of my work on customers' business. So, there was just this curiosity of being in a customer facing role. Also, I had experienced AWS from a customer's perspective because I was a software engineer and Amazon.com is a customer of AWS. So I had experienced AWS from a customer's perspective, but I was curious to experience AWS from a seller's perspective because a solution architect is basically a technical seller. And I was curious of, what is it like to work in the sales domain? So, I wanted a chance to experience that. So these were five main reasons why I transitioned from SDE to solution architect role. And yeah, this was one stage of my life where I had to really ask myself, what is it that I'm looking for in my next role? And once I had, made that clear to myself, the decision to make the transition became much more easier. So I hope this makes sense. And this is exactly why I decided to become a solutions architect. Now, let me tell you what solution architects do on a day-to-day basis. So first of all, it is very important to understand that in most of the cases, a solutions architect role, a solution architect is a part of the sales domain. And at the same time, it is a technical role. So as a solution architect, you get a chance to not only talk to your customer's engineering team, but you also get a chance to talk to your customer C-suite representatives like CIO, CTO, CEO. And as a solution architect, you help them understand how to meet their business, their business outcomes using your technology, using cloud, right? So that is what being a solution architect is all about. So as a solution architect, you are responsible for creating the technical architectures, not only creating, but also reviewing any technical architectures for any applications that your customers migrate to cloud, right? So this is the first thing. Other than that, it's not only about creating a technical architecture, but it is also explaining your customer how a particular service or a solution works. So you get a chance to conduct a lot of trainings and workshops for your customers to explain them about the cloud offerings. So if you're someone who really enjoys teaching, you will really love this aspect of the job. Other than that, I also got a chance to build POCs. So a POC is basically a proof of concept. It's nothing but it's a small prototype of how the actual solution works. And this is where my coding background comes really handy. Since I know how to code, whenever I'm building a proof of concept, I'm just able to, quickly pull in snippets of code from here and there and get it to work. So proof of concepts is where, or your coding knowledge will come into use. But with that being said, if someone who doesn't code or who cannot code but still wants to be in this role, you can absolutely be a solution architect having zero coding knowledge. I've literally seen people with zero coding knowledge and they're amazing solution architects. Most of the cloud providers have tons of quick starts and code snippets out there. What you can do is you can simply reuse the code that the cloud provider has given you to make proof of concepts work. So yeah, you get a chance to develop proof of concepts, which is amazing. And other than that, you get a chance to read blogs, to create content, to reach customers. Because the thing is, when you work with multiple customers in the industry, a lot of times you will notice a pattern. You will notice that multiple customers are facing the same challenge. And so why not write a blog about it, or why not create a video about it? So this is an amazing platform for someone. If you like, creating content, this is an amazing platform for you. Other than that, you also get a chance to participate in sales and revenue attainment strategy. Remember, I told you the solution architect role is part of the sales domain. And most of the sales domain, the sales team they are tracking a sales quota. So a sales quota is nothing but it's like a minimum target that the team has to achieve. That the team has to achieve. It's nothing but just a number quota. So for example, a quota for my team would be 1 million. So it would be 1 million within this year. I have to help customers adopt cloud and generate revenue of 1 million. So as a solution architect, you get a chance to participate in the attainment strategy. Come in very technical hat, and you come in with your inputs on how do you think technology can help customers as well as help your organization meet that revenue quota. And apart from that, one more fun part about being a solution architect is you get to build an area of specialization. So there are tons of specializations in cloud today, like networking, security, IoT, big data, analytics. You can choose any particular specialization that excites you, and you can build towards, you can get more specialized in that particular domain. So this is what solution architects do on a day-to-day basis. Now, next, I get this most frequently asked question as to how did I prepare for solution architect interviews? So here are a few things that I'll tell you before I actually get into those points. As a software engineer, the interview process is very different. The focus as a software engineer is on the ability, whether you're able to write effective code or not, right? That is the focus. But as a solution architect, the focus is on whether you are able to design or come up with a design for a problem or not. So always keep that in mind. The interviews for solution architects generally include 5 to 6 rounds, which include behavioral interviews, technical interviews, whiteboarding sessions, and also a presentation round. That is, it depends where you're interviewing in. But the presentation round is to check your communication skills and to check your confidence level, because solution architects a lot of times end up talking to and influencing C-suite of a lot of organizations. So yeah, this is what the interview rounds generally look like. So tips on how I actually prepared for the interviews. First of all, when I started interviewing for the solution architect role, I brushed up upon all the cloud computing basics. I have a bonus. So if you stick around to this meeting towards the end, till the end of this meeting, I will share with you a cheat sheet that I've prepared, which has all the cloud computing basics. So you can, use that cheat sheet as a starting point when you're prepping or brushing up on your cloud computing concepts. So first of all, brush up on your basics. Number 2, take relevant courses. For me, since I was already working with cloud, I did not, feel the need to take a course. But if you have like zero familiarity, start taking some basic courses on cloud computing. That would lay a strong foundation on, it will lay a strong foundation for you, given that you don't have experience. Other than looking at the courses, looking at videos, one more big advice that I have for you is try to get as much as hands-on as you can with the cloud. Being hands-on with the cloud, playing around with cloud services in the cloud console or programmatically will help you, first of all, gain confidence with your knowledge, and it will help you gain confidence, and it will give you a better understanding, and it will help you retain those concepts better in your mind. So ensure that you not only look at the courses, but also go take effort, go in and play around, get hands-on with cloud services. Other than that, I read a lot of tons of white papers, blogs, and reference architectures. So for all the major cloud providers out there, most of them have published reference architectures for all the common industry workloads. So a few examples would be a simple 3-tiered web application. I think every cloud provider has a reference architecture out there for a simple and common customer issues. So instead of reinventing the wheel, you can directly take a look at these reference architectures and use them as a starting point to understand and study for reference architectures, and this you will be able to apply all these concepts in your interviews. And other than that, I practiced a lot of whiteboarding scenarios. So what I did is I tried to create and whiteboard for very difficult design questions. So one would be, can you design a very can you come up for an architecture for a large scale distributed system like Netflix or Facebook or Instagram? So I took up the challenge, and I used to I used to sit at home with my diary with a pen, and I used to think, okay, I am now going to design Netflix. How would I go about doing it, right? So I practiced. I did a lot of whiteboarding at home. I practiced a lot of whiteboarding, but I think with a lot of reading, with a lot of study, and with a lot of practice, you will be able to crack the solution architect interviews. I hope this makes sense. This is how I prepped for the interviews. Give me 1 second. Excuse me. So now I have tips for students and professionals who want to break into the cloud industry. So, excuse me. The first thing I will tell you is to get started with cloud computing, pick out a cloud platform and just get started. I've seen people put in a lot of thought into, which cloud platform should I pick. So to be honest, there are three cloud leaders in the market right now. The first one is AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. The second one is Microsoft Azure Cloud. And the third one is Google's cloud platform. Based on your inclination, based on your past experience, my advice is just choose a cloud platform and get started with it. Start getting in depth into it. That's the first thing. The next thing is, as I said before, just don't read, just don't look at videos, but it is important to get hands-on. Get as much as hands-on practice as you can, while especially when you are a newbie and who's trying to break into cloud. The more experience you have, the more handy it will be during your interviews. Number three, based on your inclination, based on your interest, pick a specialization and start prepping towards a specialization. So for example, you might be a DevOps engineer who wants to break into cloud. In that case, my advice for you would be taking courses that that are specific to your DevOps specialization. So for example, taking a look at cloud developer or cloud DevOps engineer courses. And so this way, when you focus on a specialization, what happens is you're able to not only use your previous knowledge, but you're able to ramp up on cloud faster because you're working towards that one specialization. Other than that, get certified. Excuse me. Getting a certification is letting the industry know that yes, you are a subject matter expertise in the cloud domain. But with that being said, I want to make one thing very clear. Getting certified or getting a certification is not a prerequisite for working into cloud. When I started working into cloud, when I became a solution architect, I did not have a single certification. Having a certification just gives your resume and profile a good boost as compared to other candidates. And a lot of times, a lot of employers reimburse the cost of certifications. So if you're someone who is interested in getting certified, ensure you check with your employer as well and see if they get the cost of your certification reimbursed. Other than that, my advice would be network with individuals in the cloud domain. Join groups like Women Who Code Cloud and others out there. Attend workshops like this one. Join cloud focused study groups and connect with people who can refer you and help you find your dream job in cloud. And other than that, my last advice for people who want to break into cloud would be just start interviewing. Throw yourself in the interview process. And I think that is the best way to learn, because either you will pass or either you will find out the areas where you need maximum improvement. So in either case, it will bring you one more step closer to your goal. So my advice is just start interviewing and go with the flow and just learn in the process. So these are a few tips for people who want to break into cloud. Now, let me talk to you about different roles in cloud computing. So when I started working in cloud computing, I met so many different people and I came across so many different titles that it was really astonishing. I did not come across any of this when I was a software engineer. So here in the left, I've I've listed a few roles that I've seen which are unique and which I did not generally see in the software, development world. So my advice to you would be, like once this presentation is done, I would recommend each and every one of you to go ahead, uh, choose the role title and research about it and see if this role is something that interests you and something that you want to pursue in your future. But these are the different roles available in cloud. And other than that, I also want to quickly chat about what happens next. I'm a solution architect right now, but what does my career look like 5 years down the line, right? So to answer this question, I've created two ladders. The first one is the technical ladder and the second one is a managerial ladder. Now, one disclaimer: this ladder is created solely by me based on my own experience, based on my own research, based on what I've seen in the industry, right? So, this is just to give you an idea of what's next after being a solution architect. And let me now first talk about the technical ladder. So, you can become a senior solution architect and you can grow towards becoming a principal solution architect, right? So, considering that you want to move, you want to be technical and you're not looking to branch towards a managerial role, so you can become a senior or a principal solution architect. I've also seen people transition into a director or a VP of IT role from a principal solution architect role, so that because they get a chance to effectively then put in their knowledge to manage a whole fully blown IT team. And after becoming a director or a VP of IT, another progression that happens in the career is you can become a chief technology officer, you can become a chief security officer, CISO, or you can become a chief information officer. So based on your area of expertise, you can choose to become, you can be a part of the C suite. But basically this role improves your communication and preps you towards that particular ladder. I hope that makes sense. Also, if you're someone who's more interested in taking the managerial ladder, this is what your path looks like. So after a solution architect, you can become a solution architect manager, and from a manager, the very organic progression is towards becoming a area or a region leader. So a lot of times you'll come across people's profile who say, I am the US West leader of solution architecture org, or I am the uh, Asia Pacific leader of solution architecture. So you can become a manager. Then as a solution architect manager, the organic progression that I've seen people take is they can become a director or a VP of sales engineering. Because since you become a manager, you not only have the managerial acumen, but you also have the sales expertise, since you've been in the sales domain for so long. So this is what I've seen people doing. And after that, like once you become quite experienced and seasoned, another progression is becoming a CEO, a CFO, or a CMO. So you can become a chief executive officer, a chief marketing officer, a chief finance officer, based on your area of expertise. I hope this makes sense. I think this was pretty much the end of my presentation. With this, I would like to open up the floor for any questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat section, and ensure that you've chosen all participants and attendees so everyone is able to see your question. Do you have any questions for me?
Sonakshi,
Okay, so
in the
yeah,
Q&A.
sure. Yeah, sure. Who is this?
Oh,
Oh yeah. So folks, please feel free to use the Q&A section as well. That is what we would be tracking, to see if you have any questions. So I'm seeing one question in the chat. Let me take that one first. If you have segregate your work into technical versus non-technical. Okay. So the question is, if I have to segregate and if I have to give a percent to how much percent of the solution architect role is technical and how much of that is sales, my answer for that would be the solution architect role is 30% technical. Sorry, it's 30% sales and it is 70% technical. So you are expected to understand your customer's business. You're expected to understand who are the key stakeholders, and you're expected to effectively be able to communicate with these key stakeholders like the CIO, the CTO. So I would categorize this to be 30%. But at the same time, remember that it is 70% technical. Your primary responsibility is to come up with architectures, do trainings, write blogs, and focus more on gathering your tech breadth. So I hope that makes sense, Neeraj. Other than that, I'm seeing a few questions in the Q&A. So the first one is, did you get AWS certification before applying for a first solution architect role? The answer is no, Nico. I got my first I got my first AWS certification after I became a solution architect. So getting a certification is absolutely not a prerequisite to get into a solutions architect role. It's just, I'll tell you, it's just like a cherry on the cake. So as long as you're able to answer interview questions effectively, you should be fine, and you should be able to get into the solution architect or any role in cloud computing. Certification is not a must unless the job description says so. I hope that makes sense, Nico. One more question I'm seeing is, how hard is it to get into cloud technology without prior engineering or tech background? So I would say that I wouldn't say it is super hard. It is just being smart. If you do not come from a technological background, it is being smart and starting with things that matter, things that are required. So for example, starting with a cloud computing cheat sheet would be the absolute first step. Start with a cheat sheet, start brushing up on cloud concepts. And as you're studying for cloud, when you come across any new concept that you're not familiar with, my advice would be Google it and spend time on it until you become comfortable explaining it to a 5-year-old. Okay. So my advice to you is, start from the very basic, read all the basic concepts, and try to clear your foundation as much as you can, and work towards a specialization. And there are tons of resources. Take a lot of courses, join study groups, and I hope this helps the question. It will be slightly hard, but at the same time, it is achievable. I've seen people transition into cloud from an absolutely non-cloud background. It is possible. It will be slightly hard, but just fight hard and be curious. That is what my answer would be. How much travel do you do at Google? So that's a great question, Neeraj. And one more thing that I would like to point out is, as a solution architect, you get a chance to travel to your customers' offices. You get a chance to travel on site, which is awesome, which is cool. For me, I have not done any travel, Neeraj, unfortunately, because I joined Google in pandemic. So all the travel is closed and restricted right now. So I have done like zero travel. But ideally, when offices will open up, I will get a chance to travel to my customers' offices, customers' on-site places, and have a face-to-face conversation with my customer. To give you a number in a non-COVID world, I think the number is just, I would say, about once a week. 20%, 20 to 30% is how much a solution architect travels generally. What do you love? Shashank is asking, what do you love the most about solution architect role? What I love most about this role is, today I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you. And I think this is my most favorite part, because if you would have met Sonakshi, 2 years back when I was a software engineer, I was not this vocal, I was not this communicative, and I was not this good at communication as well. I was this shy engineer who sat on her desk, put on her headphones, and coded all day long. Being a solution architect has given me this confidence to come in and talk to you, to come in and share my journey. So I think that is my most favorite part of being a solution architect. Another question is, what level of experience in cloud computing is required for cloud related jobs? If I'm self-taught and I have not worked in cloud computing, how do I apply for jobs? So to be honest, like, if you don't, a lot of roles, if you let's start from scratch. You are someone who wants to get into cloud computing. How would you start? You would first start by taking a look at a lot of job descriptions, going through them. And if the job description does not say that you need 5 years of prior or 10 years of prior experience, I think you are fine. So if I were in your place, and if I did not have previous experience, I would apply to roles that are that are for starters or for beginners. So those are good roles to begin with. If you're self-taught and if you have not worked, do not worry. Ensure that you know cloud well, you are able to crack interviews, and you are interview ready. You are able to talk about cloud, you are able to design with cloud. I think that is what they will test in the interviews. But my advice to you, if you do not have experience, do not worry. It is not a prerequisite. Be smart and find roles that are for beginners and apply to those roles, because you have a better chance of getting selected. Other than that, did you find any difference between solution architect at Amazon versus Google as far as job responsibilities are concerned? So right now, to be honest, I have my job responsibilities are exactly the same. What I did in Amazon is exactly what I'm doing with Google. I'm going out, I'm talking to customers. One difference is in Amazon, my profile was that of a generalist. So I was a generalist solution architect who spoke to customers about any issues that they had. But in Google, I have a specialization, and my specialization is analytics. So I do not work with any customers. I mostly focus on customers who are migrating big data applications and who are focused on migrating analytics applications to cloud. So I focus on analytics specific challenges. That is one thing that is definitely different. But other than that, my roles and responsibilities are, I would say, a 95%, like almost maybe 98% same. I don't have any difference to tell you in my role and responsibility. Another question that I'm seeing is, do you have any advice on in-demand cloud specialities? Any advice on in-demand? That is interesting. So to be honest, Nico, machine learning is hot, analytics is hot, IoT is also pretty hot. Like IoT, I've not seen a lot of solution architects or a lot of professionals who have the IoT skill. So it is definitely hot as well. So I think these three domains is something that is super on fire. But with that being said, any customer who migrates to cloud has to work with infrastructure. They have to work with network. They have to work with security. So those specialities are very fundamental, and they definitely are in demand as well. So to be honest, the whole cloud computing field is in demand. Today only I heard in one of our meetings that currently customers have only migrated 98 like 2% of their workloads to cloud. So there is a potential for migrating 98% workloads that exist in the world to migrate it to cloud. So imagine how much potential cloud has. And any specialty any specialty you develop will come in handy. And I have also seen people start off with a networking specialty or start off with one specialty and then pivot, because your interests change, right? Your interests change with time. And as you see that, if you're getting more opportunities in machine learning, but you're in infrastructure, expert, feel free on pivoting at any time in your career. Feel free on pivoting your specialty and take it anywhere you want to take it. But to answer your question, everything is hot in cloud computing. All the specialties are running hot. Other than that, two more questions. In terms of financial compensation, do you experience a significant drop or increase when you moved from developer to SA role? Would you be able to assign a percentage to this? So one thing I would want to point out, solution architects are not paid as much as software engineers. Keep this in your mind. And the reason solution architects are paid less is because solution architect is a part of the sales domain. And the way the sales domain works is, a lot of times you're given a base salary, and you have a bonus component. And this bonus component is based on whether you or your team meet your quota or not, right? That's how in different companies, there are different compensation models. If I have to assign a percentage of, decrease, I would roughly say at least, expect 10 to 20% less salary if you're a solution architect. At least 10 to 20% is one ballpark percent that I can give you. Last question that Neeraj has is, this is a very useful session. Would we get a recording? Yes, you will absolutely get a recording. The link would be hosted. This video is going to be hosted on YouTube. So I will definitely share, the YouTube link with you. Another question is any suggestion on a personal project related to cloud? I'm not sure where to begin and showcase my potential, showcase the potential to employers. Any suggestion on a personal cloud any personal project? So to be honest, don't ask my preference. Don't ask me what would I recommend you. Find what is it that you are passionate about. Just open a cloud provider's page, look at what they're providing, and choose your own passion project. Choose your own specialization, because I will tell you, go ahead and build a machine learning model that predicts, that does image classification, or that does something else. You will go and build it, but at the same time, if you're not passionate about machine learning, this project doesn't make any sense, right? So my advice to you is choose your passion. Are you someone who likes machine learning? Are you someone who is passionate about IoT? Are you someone who's passionate about security? And then based on that, choose a passion project and start getting your hands dirty, and start working towards that specialization. Were you ever on call as a solution architect? No. The best part about being a solution architect is not being on call. I'm never on call as a solution architect, but whenever any issues happen on the customers, in the customer's world, you have to be attentive. Generally, customers are nice. They don't have any issues during the weekends. Weekdays is when mostly they have issues, unless something goes terribly wrong in their environment. But you are not on call, and on call wise, life is pretty chill as a solution architect. And is the solution architect salary lesser than a developer? Yes, it is. It is lesser. But at the same time, I'm getting these salary questions. I have one tip for you. If you like this role, and if you want to pursue this role, just go for it. Don't think about the money, because at the end of the day, if you're happy with your work, if you're learning new things, you will end your day being happy and fulfilled. So don't let the salary is less fact discourage you from pursuing a solution architect role. That would my advice be. I think I've answered all questions. I have a request to all of the people who are there on the call. If you all have been awesome, first of all, and I got some amazing questions from all of you. I would really appreciate if you could just take 3 minutes of your time and fill out this feedback form. Let me quickly send a link in our Zoom chat. So I just sent a link. Please click on the link and give me feedback. Your feedback will allow me to understand, first of all, how was your experience? What improvements can I make to my future sessions, and how can I customize my content more towards to match your needs, right? So please, just take 3 minutes. There are just 6 questions. Please, give me feedback by filling this form. And other than that, I had promised that I will share the cheat sheet with you for cloud computing basics. I'm about to do that right now. So this is a link to the cheat sheet that I've created. So one disclaimer is I created this cheat sheet for myself. And once I used it for Amazon and Google interviews, I realized that this is something that is definitely going to be useful to a lot of folks out there. So I decided to blog this and share this with you. I hope this cheat sheet helps you in your interview prep process. And I hope all of you are filling the feedback form while we are speaking. And I think that is pretty much it. Thank you all so much for attending this session. Good luck with your career progression. Feel free to get in touch with me by following me on Instagram. My handle is Talk Tech with Sonakshi. Also, reach out to me and connect with me on LinkedIn as well. But to be honest, I'm super responsive on Instagram. So anytime if you have any questions related to cloud, related to your career or your future in cloud, feel free to write me a message on Instagram, and I will definitely get back to you. And other than that, I also have my personal blog called talktechwithsonakshi.wordpress.com. If you're interested in getting more updates on Google Cloud, on overall about the cloud, please check out my blog as well. And I hope this session was super helpful for you, all of you, right here.
Sorry, Sonakshi, but there's another question
Yeah, and also Sherwin has put in a link to our Slack channel. Join that. That's a great platform to learn about any upcoming events and ask any other questions. And other than that, I think that is pretty much it.
There is another
That is
question.
pretty much it. Did I miss anything, Sharmain or Archana? Did I miss any questions?
Another question in the Q&A.
Oh, in the Q&A. One second. Okay. So in the Q&A, I have heard that if one has good experience on computer networks, then a person has extra edge to someone who does not have network experience. And if I get into big data cloud specialization, then would you say that it doesn't matter even if I don't have computer network experience? So first of all, Neeraj, I do not know who you heard it from, but you really do not need like in-depth networking knowledge. My experience so far has been you need to basically understand how a network works, what are subnets, what is a router, what is a virtual private gateway, right? So you need to understand those basic concepts. Again, I would categorize them into cloud computing basic concepts, and not like a full blown network specialization. So you don't need to be a networking guru, you just need to understand those networking basics, and I think you should pretty much be good even if you're applying to a big data cloud specialization. So just understanding those networking basics is absolutely enough. You don't need to be a networking guru at all. I hope that answers your question, Neeraj, and I think that's pretty much it from my end. So yeah, I think we've come to the end of this event. Thank you everyone again for being here. I hope you filled my feedback form. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you all in future Women Who Code Cloud events. Bye bye everyone. Have a good day and a good night based on where you are. Bye.